welcome. Thank you all so very much for coming. I know that some of you have battled through traffic and horrible weather. We didn't realise we were clashing with all the bike riders this weekend on the beach. If we'd known that, we would have known it was going to be vile weather, because it generally always rains, doesn't it? So that they get even dirtier and their bikes get completely wrecked. So apologies that we've clashed and made it more difficult for people to get here, but for those that have, thank you. We sadly have got a couple of guests that aren't going to be able to make in for speaking with us today, because coming out of Bristol, it's basically not happening. I don't know whether there's something happens on the motorway, but the roads are bedlam. So we're just going to go with it as we always do, and I'm sure that we are going to be able to share lots of really useful information this afternoon that hopefully will give you, any of you that don't know about People First and the work that we do, you'll get a far better understanding by the end of this afternoon. So hopefully you've all had a cup of tea or coffee by now. Please do help yourself if you would like more. So this afternoon you're going to be hearing from the team, from some of our volunteers. We've got some guest speaker, because we're not sure about the other guest speakers. So Darlene, you're going to come up and sort of talk about your experiences of working with People First. And then later on, at the end of the afternoon, we will be presenting one of our very special awards, and that goes to one of our members. That kind of, it reflects their achievements, reflect what the award is all about. So I'll talk to you a bit more about that later on. So we will, if we can go forward. So there are no fire drills planned for this afternoon. So if we do hear the alarm, the nearest fire exits are literally here on the right-hand side. So we'll exit out there, and our group would meet outside on the lawns. We have lists of everybody, so we will be able to make sure everybody's here and not hiding in the toilet. Mobile phones, I respect that some people might need to leave their phones on, but if they could please make sure they're on silent, it's certainly going to help us, particularly as we don't have a microphone. So that would be very much appreciated. We all need comfort breaks now and again. Don't feel that you have to put your hand up or anything. Please just make your way and have a comfort break. Visit the loo whenever you need to. And I think it's just about respecting the speakers. So we're not all confident at standing up in a room full of people. So it'd be really, really helpful if everybody listens and isn't kind of chatting away to themselves, because everything that you're going to hear today means a lot to each individual that comes up and talks, So thank you, that would be really appreciated. As you will see around the room, those of you that know People First can see that there's a bit of a difference in our branding. So we are kind of using today to showcase some of our new branding. You'll see some of the pull-ups around. So this is our 4th edition logo, and I'm shortly going to invite somebody else up that's going to talk you through the different logos that we've had over the years. So over at the back of the room, just to the side there, you will see there's lots of new literature. So please do help yourselves. If you know somebody that you think it might be useful, please take it away and pass it around to whoever. The more we can spread the word about the work that we do, it builds our membership, and we can make a difference to many more people's lives. So thank you very much. So I am now going to embarrass a few people because last year we celebrated our 30th birthday, and that rotten COVID got in the way of our celebrations. So we managed to have a party in the park, which you will see as we move through our journey so far. But it all started 30 years ago. I'm not going to talk too much about how it started, but there's one lady in particular that's here that was one of the original founders, along with another lady called Sue Hatton, said, Mrs. Alden, Linda Alden, would you please stand up? So this wonderful, wonderful lady has been part of People First for 30 years. When I started in 2010, She was a wonderful person that appointed me, for which I'm very, very grateful, and continued to be part of People First. She was one of our first trustees when we launched as a charity, and continues now as a volunteer. So you could say, I think People First is in her blood. So thank you, Linda, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't all be here today. So promoting self-advocacy before self-advocacy was really heard of is a very special thing. So something to be really proud of, Linda. So well done. And alongside Linda, there's another few ladies over there that were also part of People First in its very, very early days. So Anne Kilpin, give us a wave. So again, Anne has been part of People First journey, and to this date continues on our board of trustees. Denise Clark, you joined us quite early on in our journey, and Denise, retirement, I don't know whether retirement actually exists for this group on that table. I think most of them are busier now than they've ever been. But Den is now also a volunteer for People First, so again, it's in the blood. And finally, the person that I would like to invite up to join me up here is Sue Hogarth. So Sue joined again, very, part of People First, back kind of, early 90s, and was my predecessor when we were called general managers, and it was a great honour and privilege to take over from Sue. She'd really kind of done some fantastic work over the years and had really set the seeds for us moving forward. So I'm now going to hand over to Sue, who is going to walk you through our timeline. We obviously haven't included everything of our 30 years, but we've picked out some special moments. So just click on the left. Oh, right, sorry. Just severe. That's all right, it'll come back. They are sorry, exactly. We will need to click for the clip. I'll click, I'll pull, I'll click. Okay. Right.
So this was the very first with Linda and Sue, who decided they wanted to set up a group to help people with learning disabilities speak up for themselves. So met, had cups of tea, just a tiny little group initially. Then we realised actually it needed to be a bit more than that.
Was that when it was in Americans?
Sorry?
Was that when it was in Americans?
No. It was big in America then, but not so big here.
Americans.
No, before then.
No, that was even before that. You've gone ahead too far. We haven't got there yet.
But we will be soon, so. Right, so Anne Hilpin and myself, we both worked at the college, running courses there for people with a learning disability. So we were dead keen to get involved in this. But one of the things we were working with students with was helping them to speak up, have their voice, have things said. So we decided we needed to broaden it a bit and include those people and other people, not just from Clevedon. So together with Linda and Sue Hatton, who also worked at the college, we set up our first meeting in Clevedon. Was it St Andrew's Church Hall? Scout Hall is because the Scout Hall, see, it's a long time ago. I'm getting old, I forget. And my memory of that day was a whole group of people, loads of people, and Sue Hatton, there was quite a short lady, stood on a chair and said, right, get into groups. And she sent people off to the corners, and then she said, you're the daffodils, you're the roses, and named these groups. And that's how we started. We talk about things that were important for people with a learning disability. So yes, the first logo that we ever had, we had a competition, and we asked people to put what they thought it meant to them. So that logo was designed by somebody from Strove Road. Was it, I think? It was a combination, wasn't it, of a few? And that was the very first logo that we had. So that was just, like a swim men's in Andrewshire. Fine, that's not my memory. Right. So we used to, and we met here for a really long time in that stag hall in Cleetham. And people came from all over North Somerset. But anybody here ever attended those meetings? Denise? Kat? Yeah? I feel full. So we had, and then we had guest speakers and discussed all sorts of things, and we're able to put that forward to the council, so that the council started to listen to people with a learning disability. Then, of course, the big thing for people was 2001, Valuing People. Valuing People was a document. It never became law, it became in paper, but it stated all the things that should people with a learning disability, they should be included in providing their services or choosing their services. They should be entitled to work. All the things that everybody else does. Suddenly there was a paper saying this has got to happen for people with a learning disability. And at that time, a man who we cannot remember his name for the life of us. I tried for 3 days to remember his name, but he was part of the council, and he came to see us, and there was a pot of money that was left at the end of the year, and he said, I want you to have this pot of money to set up People First properly, not just lecturers from college come in and people from the day centres. We want it as a proper organisation. So they provided us with a room, which was at the Meridans.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah. We were down in the basement in the Meridans. They provided us with money to appoint a manager, general manager, which was me, and all the desks and everything. It was quite a big pot of money at the time, wasn't it? And to be able to become a real organisation that could really help people speak up for themselves. We were able to employ somebody with a learning disability, so Debbie Lewis, who is still around in somewhere, I see her quite regularly. She was our secretary, and she did the administrative tasks that were needed. So we were a proper organisation. We were based in the Meridans, which is where social workers were based. So we were right at the hub of where everything was going on, and they used to come down to us and ask us if we could help them with different bits and pieces. So really good. So then we decided we needed to upgrade a bit, and we needed another loader. So at the same time, we the Meridans was going to close, so we were going to lose our office. But there was a lady called Rose Barker who ran the social work team, and she wanted to make sure that we were all still part of the social work and all that sort of stuff. And they moved to Towers and Road was only a little bit, wasn't it? I mean, it was really, the big move was to Partnership House, which is in World. And all the social workers were there, all the training was done there, and we had a big office there. And we haven't happened yet, so just looking to see how far on we are. But one of the things we did do, we worked a lot with University of the West of England, and two people there who were called Eric and Kim, and they ran the courses for learning disability nurses at UWE, and they wanted people with learning disabilities to be involved in all of those things. So Mark, who was our chair at the time, I supported him to do a unit of a degree. I have to say, I did support him, but I made him do all the work, and he got his unit, and he probably did more work than any other student in the university, because I didn't let him ask anybody else. I made him do it all, and I just typed it all up, and he got his unit there. Cap, you did some units. Did you do some units or not? You just were involved in the work of UWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Pat was very involved as well. And then Eric had an associate in Croatia who ran homes for people with autism. And Croatia at the time wanted to be part of the EU, but they weren't doing the things that we were doing. They weren't involving people with disabilities. They weren't doing any of that. So Eric had this association he used to go over, and he invited Kath and Mark to go over, and I supported them, to speak at a very high-powered conference, wasn't it, with lecturers and students and that. And I think the thing that came out of it more than anything else, all those people in Croatia, all those high-powered people could not understand why we were all joking together with the students. They had no placements there. Their students never went on placement. All done at the university, wasn't it? And we told them why it was important to have students on Facebook and keep them doing all this. So we sort of moved them on to be a bit closer to what we're doing. But we went again at the end, didn't we? We did some work at the you come on up, Kath, and talk about it. Let me go on the floor again. Did you remember that, Father? Oh, wait, that was her.
You're coming to the school, and they were in a big dining room, and they were wearing white coats. I spoke to one of the guys and he said, "Why are you wearing white coats?" And I can't remember what he said.
So that's what we always done. Yeah, and you said, well, you don't need to. Why, these are the ordinary people that ordinary young children who work there were why when and they actually stopped, didn't they? Then we managed to change a few things in school, didn't we? Yeah, we were there. What was the alternate? What about the toilets? The toilets were in between the classrooms, but they had cars. So when the kids went in to use the toilet, anybody walked past in the corridor to see them. But we complained, so that's not really very respectful. And they put pictures up, didn't they? Yeah, on the glass so that nobody could look in to a man. And we did a lot of work there. And we went to the autistic centre, didn't we?
Yeah. Remember the name of the chap? I'm terrible with names.
Ibiza. Yeah. And they, again, were wanting us to tell them what they could do to improve, and they asked, it's awful, wasn't it? Yeah, remember the first time we walked in? Yeah, it was really awful. They had dormitories, and there was nothing person-centred about it. As there was no pictures, no nothing. All guests were there, it was just awful. Over the time we went for about 4, 5, 6 years. Yeah. They gradually changed, and they gradually made the rooms smaller. They chose people who were compatible to live together in these different units. So
we did loads.
That's what I really enjoyed it. Yeah. We went up to the top somewhere. Saw another one of their units, didn't we? Yeah, and we sat down. So we did quite a lot. But then only 2 weeks at a time, act alone. Yeah. And of course, Kat got along with all the other learning disability students. Yeah. So that was really good. No. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, just before we were about to move into Partnership House, Jill Crossgall, who was the training department, had a meeting with me, and she said, we're going to be doing all our training here. What's about working together to get a service where people with learning disabilities are employed to meet people, take them to their rooms, provide the tea and the coffee, and we will fund that service. You did it, didn't you? Yeah, you did it on Facebook. So that's right. So we had this brilliant idea that we would have 5 different people doing the service. So they'd meet people, tick them off on the list, take them down to the rooms, and then we'd have somebody who'd serve them tea and coffee and anything they needed. And the idea was that they'd be employed 1 day a week with a view to getting their skills up, getting the CB, and then moving on. That was the theory behind it. Unfortunately, nobody ever wanted to move on. So we had the same vibe. They did a customer service course, they did a level 1 qualification in customer service. So they were well ready to move on to something else, but they didn't want to go, they wanted to stay with us. So those were the first 5 we did. That's James Smith, who was the Director of Social Services at the time. So, and this is some of the things that they used to do. That's Rich, Leanne, Nick. And what was interesting about that, when we talked to them about what did it mean to have a job like that was paid, one of the girls, Claire, said to me, Julia, it's so nice to be able to talk to other people about the same things that they talk about. So you could have that conversation about, oh, I can't go out tonight, I'm working tomorrow. Oh, thank goodness it's payday on whatever day. And it made me really realise that it was a conversation that most people in learning disabilities are never included in. And for most of us, that's a big thing. That's why we work to get the money to go out to do those sorts of things. So they really, really enjoyed it. So then we were invited. Graham Turner was the chief exec of the council there, and Queen was coming with Prince Philip to meet a select few organisations, voluntary organisations, and we were chosen as one of those voluntary organisations. So we did all the rigmarole that you had to do by sending all your letters and things, arriving early. We weren't allowed out of the place while she was still there, but it was over at the Winter Gardens. We were in the big room, and they came in and they gave us a briefing, and the briefing was, whatever you do, just stand there with your hands behind your back, and the thing will walk round and talk to you. You just talk and, come in, it will curse your bow. So you stand there with your hands behind your back. So round she came, who was sort of over at that side. She came to our stall, and Graham Turner said, this is Mark Smith, who is the chairperson of People First, and Mark, ever polite, put his hand out. And there was this, that went all around the room, and she shook hands with him. She actually, shook hands and asked him how he was. And then he introduced to me, and I stood there, and she put her hand out, and looked at me, what do I do now? Come I walk to shake hands, I put my hand back. So anyway, so I shaken hands with the Queen. So, and then that's when my time finished. I decided that I'd gone as far as I could go with People First. I achieved a fair bit, but it was time for somebody else to take on a new direction. And thankfully, we got Michelle. So,
thank you very much, Sue. That was wonderful to hear. Can we give Sue a really big hand? Yes, so this was, I think, just sort of before I actually came on board in the January. I attended a meeting in the December where we're having kind of Christmas party. It gave me a real flavour for the organisation and all the people that were part of that organisation, so it made it more exciting to be starting in the new year. So when I first started, we were a voluntary sector organisation, but we weren't registered as a charity or a community interest company. And one of the things, funding became more difficult to get hold of. Council funding, government funding was reducing, so we needed to think about how we were going to move forward as an organisation. So we had lots of conversations about becoming a charity. One of the concerns was that from its kind of, you know, the time that the organisation started, we were run by a management committee, and the management committee consisted of all people with a learning disability. We didn't want to lose the kind of user-led focus. So through discussions, we decided that actually, you know, becoming a charity is really important, but we had alongside that an advisory committee who would be part of advising our trustees. But as you can see, our original trustees actually involved Mark, where are you? Give us a wave. So you were one of our original trustees, weren't you? Along with one of your friends, Andrew Willem. Now, it worked for a bit, but it got very confusing. I don't know whether anybody's ever looked at the rules and the responsibilities of a trustee, but we were all a bit worried, weren't we? And actually, it was at that point that, you know, we talked about how can we still keep us as being user-led. We want people with a learning disability to be telling us what we need to be doing. And actually, Mark and Andrew helped to set up the advisory committee. That's when you step down as trustees and let all the others take that responsibility. Yeah, good choice, I think. Good choice. So as kind of not long after really that we'd launched as a charity, it was time to kind of have another kind of rebrand really. We'd made a significant step forward, so it was time to have a new look. So this was our 3rd edition logo. So that's what we've been using up until today. In 2016, we were part of a peer educator network called Opening Eyes. So again, it was all about eye health. And as many of you will know, many people with learning disabilities face huge health inequalities. And eyes, dentistry, those type of things are often overlooked. So we were really excited to be part of that. And I think Kat and Mark, I think you were part of that. And then all these strange glasses that we all had to try on. And
Strange glasses were absolutely frightening.
they were scary because the glasses that you experienced were a pair of glasses, what it would be like to have cataracts, what it was like to have glaucoma. I have to be honest.
As well.
Absolutely, and it was really scary putting those on, and I think it made us realise even more that actually looking after your eyes is really, really important. So we've done a lot of training workshops with our other members, and I know as a result of that, many people that weren't having regular eye tests have since and continue to go and have regular eye checkups.
But we never continued training after that.
Well, unfortunately, we ran out of funding. You know, it's like everything. But we had done, I think we probably trained about well over 100 people, I think, by the time we'd kind of finished. So that's still positive. Positive. We did. We're always covering a lot, Mark. Between 2014 and 2016, we had a big kind of fundraising. We'd had Skittle nights, and we'd had this learning disability showcase event. I'm really sorry because the pictures aren't very visible for you on there. I do apologise. We will be happy for anybody that's left their email. We can send this PowerPoint out to you afterwards if that's helpful. If you don't want it, delete it. But yeah, there's lots of photos on there of members kind of that are still existing, members from the past, and also staff that were with us then that are no longer here now. In 2017, it was again time for the staff to think about, let's raise a bit more money. We raised just under £3,000, as you can see, and my God, did we do a variety of stuff. I mean, we had Karen, who was our former business and finance manager, who pedalled from here to London, I think. We were loaned a bike from Atwell, one of the, like an exercisey thing, and she pedalled all day long. It was amazing. We had Lauren, as you can see, is one of our old volunteers who was out in Weston in the high street dressed up as a banana, making all these people that were walking past and smiling at her put money in her pot.
That day somebody contacted the council and told the council that me and Matt we'd gone up to the high street. We thought we could go up the high street and people put money in the budget. somebody from the council came and told us to get back where we were supposed to be.
Yeah, and then we followed up because we said, actually, we have a licence to do that, so thank you very much. And leave our people alone to continue on with their buckets. But that's fine, it doesn't matter, we still raise lots of money. And not just about money, is it, when we go out and do these events? It's all about raising your profile, raising awareness and letting other people know what we do, because, you know, we have a lot of people in North Somerset that aren't in receipt of any form of social care service. They're not necessarily getting any support, and that's why we want those people to come to us, because there isn't anything else really like us in North Somerset. So spread the word, guys. So yeah, we had Sarah. Where are you, Sarah? Get us away. See, up there she is. Sarah's very lovely chocolate bouquet, which was that the one we raffled, and that was the MP that came and pulled out the kind of ticket for us. There's Karen, who I talked about in the yellow, red and green outfit. Kat, there you are, Mark. Yeah, there you are with your buckets. Ruth, down in the bottom left-hand corner, so the second along on the bottom, the left, is Ruth, who was one of our former managers. They done a walk from Wales to, I don't know, all across the Mendips, and they came out obviously by a pub. I think they ended up at the Ship in Uphill, which they camped somewhere overnight. From what I remember, the weather was kind. I decided to chuck myself out of a crane doing a bungee jump over in Chepstow over the quarry. That was the most horrifying thing that I've ever done, and despite having a video, unfortunately could not go on our website because it wasn't really fit for purpose with the words that came out of my mouth. So in 2018, really big leap for us. This was kind of a game changer. So we were very aware from all of the members that we work with that, you know, there were some mental health difficulties. You know, we all suffer from mental health at some point or another. And some of us can access some of the mainstream services, and we can fit in with that. We can understand what people are talking about. We can keep up with what people are saying to us, and learn about the things that might help us to help ourselves. For a lot of our members, that was a struggle, and we'd experienced people that had been through mainstream services, and it was a nightmare. People went for one session maybe and didn't go back, and there's no follow-up. So we wanted to make a difference to people's mental health, but we didn't want to just look at somebody coming on a course. We wanted to look at the kind of the whole person and everything that goes around that person. So we were looking at, you know, having that sort of more ongoing support. So often mental health is caused by something. So being able to provide advocacy and person-centred planning so that we could maybe find the root cause of somebody's problem was a great help. We called it exercise to start with, which was a big mistake because that's not a good word to use. I can see a lot of people in this room who, when they saw the word exercise, they didn't come. So we changed it. I can't remember what we called it, but walking group, and still exists today. Kerry does an amazing job with that. Actually, because there was a cafe and a cup of tea at the end of it, people come and do those walks. We all know it's exercise, but it's a walking group, okay? With a cuppa at the end. So we were able to kind of focus on many different aspects of a person's life and support them to go forward, and we're still providing that service to date. Joseph will talk to you about what he's doing now within that service, and Kerry will share some stuff about the walking group. We also, and I don't think they're with us today, which is really sad, so our first wedding at People First, Sarah and Darren, it was a lovely day, wasn't it, Sarah? We did get the tissues out. I mean, we're both sentimental, and you know, we're a bit emotional. So, but it was a beautiful day, and I think something to be, you know, we were just very proud, because I think a lot of people struggle with relationships. It's still a big thing now. Joseph, you're doing a couple of relationship courses now that, you know, we know that it's not easy for people to develop relationships the same as other people do. So wonderful. So there's just a few stats for you. So our kind of number in our year in numbers. So this was you know, that going through a whole pandemic, difficult for most of us. But there were a lot of members that were on very low support packages that suddenly had no support. We rolled our sleeves up, and as a team, we were out there supporting. Some people were doing, you know, welfare calls, some of us were going out delivering food, doing ingredients. Sarah made some fantastic easy read recipes. So it wasn't just about giving people food, it was about having something to do and making those meals. And then we'd have to deliver it, you know, all ganged up, and we looked very, very silly. But, you know, it was fine. And it gave, you know, we were able to talk. The delivery should have probably took us about an hour and a half. Usually took us all day because people wanted to talk. We were the only person they'd seen. So it was great. But I just, you know, for me personally, just to say again, a massive, massive thank you to the whole team, because I am so proud of each and every one of you, not just struggling with a pandemic yourselves, but actually putting other people first and making sure that they were all right. So please give my team a massive applause. And we come to the kind of year 2021. So 1991 we officially began, even though like Sue says, we were doing bits before then, but, you know, 30 years, and at least we were able to meet in a park. We're just kind of clicking buttons, it usually works. Oh, there we go, we're back. So, as you can see, some pictures. We didn't have huge numbers because, you know, this was at a time when, in between the lockdowns, you could come out and people were still feeling very nervous. But we had a lovely day for those that did turn up.
It was a boiling hot day, I tell you.
Yeah, and the other thing that we organised was our team away day. Now, I know many of the staff haven't even seen this picture. Sadly, we didn't have a whole staff team. When I call our whole team, that included all our volunteers. We'd booked it, COVID was going down, it felt safe. When we came round to our away day, our numbers in North Somerset, can you remember when they just skyrocketed again? And, you know, not everybody could come. And it was really sad, but we made the most of it. The gentleman at the front, he is in Thriller the musical, fantastic dancer, tried to teach us all the Thriller dance. Well, let's just say there were one or two that were really good. I think Kerry at the front, next to the kind of blue, Kerry and Kirsty there. Yeah. More our younger members who can boogie and really got to grips with it. The rest of us, I think, Sue, you were there, Anne, you were there. I think we just kind of tried our best, is probably, yeah. I think we were better at the makeup, but it was good fun. But it was just, more importantly, I think we'd not been together at all. You know, it had been a long time, so it was just nice coming back together. So, I just thought I'd just chuck in a couple more of our new brands, our new logos, sorry. So we've kind of come more into this, I don't know, more up to date, I suppose, and getting a little bit more modern with being able to use things that move. We just think it makes it a little bit more interesting and exciting. So, thank you for looking at those. So, I know that now I should shut up because we should be expecting Kirsty Gilbert, who is one of our communication officers, to speak. And unfortunately, Kirsty is one of the members of staff that hasn't been able to get out of Bristol and get here because of the traffic. So, Kirsty made a video with members to talk about the pandemic. So I'm going to play that for you now. And I believe, Nick, you're going to do a little bit of talk going through Kirsty's slides after the film. So we're going to play the film for you.
reason why I'm here today is because I want to tell you how I found coronavirus. And the reasons are, it made me feel stressed, sad, lonely, not meeting up with my friends, not meeting up with my boyfriend, not seeing like family and stuff like that, and it just made me feel like anxious and stuff, and I just don't like wearing the masks either.
How the lockdown and the pandemic affected me. When everything stopped, it was very difficult with changes. It was very hard to adapt. I do struggle with changes as I like a routine.
Unsettled, anxious, lots of thoughts going through my head, worrying, upsetting, unsure about the future.
COVID-19 was scary, unbelievable. I couldn't see my family. House party quizzes with family, the Benidorm series. Then people first came along with Zoom, and this helped so much with my girls and myself.
If it wasn't for North Somerset People First keeping in touch each week on the phone and on Zoom, I felt I would have gone back into a deep depression and have them suicide thoughts again. So I would like to thank North Somerset People First for all their support through this. I couldn't have done it without them. Thank you.
So I'm glad that it's kind of eased a little bit, where I can see my friends and family, and I can see my boyfriend.
Thank you to all of our members that took part in that. I know that wasn't easy, and we're all sitting there now thinking every time we watch it, you know, it kind of brings it back, and it's quite emotional. But you are all amazing, absolutely all of you, for getting through that very, very difficult time in all our lives. So well done to all of you. Yeah. Right, I am now going to invite Nick Lucas, who is our volunteer manager, Nick also runs one of the groups with casting. He can't be with us, so Nick's going to do a bit of a talk through the next few slides before. Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you all. It's all for a promise lid, so bear with me. My bit about the World Women's Group was quite limited because I got told about 20 minutes before we started I was going to do it. So please bear with me. The women's group started as a result of Kat, who asked why we couldn't have a women's group, and the men have one. Seemed fair, so we did. And initially we started doing it on Zoom. That was always quite good fun. You're frozen, silent, you're on mute. You know, women like to chat, and this mute button became a bit of an issue, but we did survive. And then they started meeting up in real life, didn't we, Kat? And Sarah, there's lots of the ladies here today. And they were fun. They have been really good fun. In that time we've met, we've discussed things with hate pouring, we've discussed consent, we've had dance sessions, and some pictures of me looking there come absolutely nutty away with various dancing, but it was good fun. Lucy, the unfortunate one here today, she's got an amazing amount of energy left her, and here we go, Profile did dance. It was good fun. We've also had a day where we did nice things, because obviously with COVID we weren't socialised and we weren't meeting people. So we took some daffodils and some chocolates and we walked into Weston and we gave people a smile and we gave them some chocolates and we gave them some daffodils. And everyone really enjoyed it. That's my pug. That's my pug. She is the mascot of the group. She does come to the meetings. She is a well woman, and if you're good, you get to take a bit of a stroll. You should save me having to take her out halfway through. There's our daffodils. As I said, Kat actually was the one that wanted the group started, so I'm going to let you have a word, Kat, if you like. Coming up here. What can we say about Well Women? What do you find good about it?
Just being with the other girls and doing other different things.
Yeah, it's nice because you can actually talk. I don't know about boys, but us girls, we like to talk about girls things sometimes, and it's not always possible when they've got a man around, is it? Nobody else to talk girly things. And we have had some proper girly conversations which have been quite interesting. Oh yeah, we've done some knitting, haven't we? Kat's quite good at knitting. What else have we done?
We've done, I think we've done about breast cancer aware.
Yeah. Oh, we did a big one about breast cancer. That was a good one, wasn't it? Yeah. Why did you think it was beneficial to us?
Because we felt that Bestrom should have a group as well as the men's group.
I've got nothing else to say to that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I think that's my little thank you.
I'm now going to follow Kat. My normal role, I've put these on, I can actually see what I'm doing, it's partly otherwise, I've sent them I can. So those who don't know me, I am Nick Lucas. I manage the volunteer section of North Somerset People First. My other side of the job that I do there is I work as an independent advocate, in conjunction with the lovely Jen and Margaret over there, and Crystal, the rest started joining us. She was doing some one-on-one PCP work, but she's just taking up the advocacy case. There's two sides to the section I manage. There's the volunteers that work in activities, groups, walking routes, and Taryn, from the lovely volunteers there, she supports in this area, friend to Taryn. She does some one-on work as well, but she does some walking group, which she quite enjoys, that we're seeing her boots and her coat, all ready prepared. I'm no expert on the group side, so I'm going to step aside for 2 minutes, and I'm going to let Dan talk about that. It's a role he's undertaken and continues to do so with his job at People First. It's to you, Dan. Can you do it? Yeah?
We are the lifeline of this charity. We enable people with a learning disability to speak up in informed ways. We listen and support them in a way that will benefit them to reach their full potential. You will get a lot out of it. The sense of being able to go home at the end of the day knowing you helped someone is beyond measure. You'll be working for an organisation that is like a big family to our members and gives our members a sense they can live their everyday lives with the knowledge and support that really enriches them. The joy and happiness when Bruce meet is unreal, and you'll be part of that, and that's why I come to work.
Thanks, mate. He's also my son. I wasn't going to mention it, but I'm a proud mum, and North Somerset People First has made a difference in his life.
As I've said, he now works and continues to volunteer with them. Time to stop embarrassing him and myself and to move on to my role and that of my colleague. I think Toya's got something she wants to say first, don't you, Toya?
Well, I'll just say, I just want to thank some of the volunteers. We've got some flowers. Give them. So, Crystal, Aaron.
Toya's giving this out just to kind of sort of let you know a little bit about Toya, because Toya's always behind the scenes, but without Toya, the organisation just would not function. Toya does all our accounting, she does the important role of paying us, which is quite important, but actually she manages all the budgets, you know, together we kind of work, Toya is the one that makes sure that we're on track.
Then if I'm
Spending too much from one budget, she tells me off, so it keeps us functioning very well. So she in an unofficial capacity is our IT geek, even though not an official role. But yeah, so sometimes people, for many of the members, you know, you don't see everybody that works at People First. Toya's role is kind of vital to the success. So
thank you, Toya.
And can we just give a massive round of applause to all our...
Okay, thanks, Victoria. We're not going to cope very well with round the scanner today. We are independent advocates. We are trained to diploma level and bring our own professional experiences to the role. Our role is to support our clients through challenges they may be encountering. This could be housing, benefit claims, and happy with some aspect of their life or criminal proceedings. However, the majority of cases we deal with are child protection and care proceedings. We have currently got 13 on our books. 3 already closed this year, with 3 of us currently managing the workload. As I've said, Crystal is joining us, has recently joined us. If you're interested in joining, please feel free to talk to me. I'm always happy on either side of volunteering for people for him. Before I give you a resume of what care proceedings are, I want to give you some statistics. I promise they're minimal, because figures aren't my thing. Since 2019, we've had 31 advocacy cases. Only 1 was in the care proceeding. He was a social issue. Out of those 31, 6 have been dads. The rest range from a 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old delivering her first baby, to a 38-year-old on pregnancy. All the children are in care. Out of the 30 cases, only 1 has kept their children. The rest have had a minimum of 1 child taken away. Some are still in proceedings, but many children are already in permanent placement, awaiting adoption. We're just beginning to see referrals back in with second pregnancies. Our 14-year-old being one of them, she's now 16. The hours we work with clients range from a couple of hours to 250. Jen's got that target, got that one at the moment as the most. In total, we spent 1,275 hours with 19 closed cases. I've not looked at the new figures, but I anticipate they will exceed this. The care process takes 26 days once a court becomes involved. However, many months before this happens. Children go much quicker, something called an early criminal placement, potential adopted family home. It's due to the length of the process. It's deemed to be better for the children's development and well-being. Previous practice often involved many moves, and that's not good for child health and development. Our work can include support work and in some cases with some complaints about situations our clients may be in. We don't give legal advice. That's a really important factor. We can find it and support them to clean people to get it. We do not. So what is a care proceeding? Initially, a referral is made to us by a social worker. Sometimes if the case has gone to court, the judge may ask for our support. Referral has been made, both through a worker with, has been deemed not to have capacity under the Care Act. I cannot understand the care proceedings. I have to say I might have fallen into that capacity when I first started. It is amazing how quickly you can learn. We gather as much information as possible, hoping the court is of the next day. If it is, you're playing catch-up as you go along. The court's not imminent, then you have time to get to know your clients. How would you describe our client group? We can't specifically identify a group. However, you will find there are many similarities in common with cases. Some of the following are the cases we've come across in the last few years. domestic violence perpetrators, domestic violence victims, domestic violence as a child of a family head, emotional abuse, financial abuse, drug or alcohol addiction, witness drug or alcohol abuse, sexual assault, rape, physical harm, and physical harm from an outside source, hate crimes, co-parenting with their own parents, unsupported partners, multiple partners to parents to their children, or physical health, or financial management, or mental health, poverty, homelessness, or educational history, anxiety, depression, lack of awareness and understanding, children with disabilities, both physical and behavioural problems, learning disabilities and difficulties in parents. Our roles include making referrals and having conversations with multiple agencies. Social workers, family support workers, social work managers, solicitors and their team, one for each parent, barristers, not the judge, we don't speak to them very often, education, housing, health, GPs, hospitals, mental health, police, custody officers. I don't think we've been to a jail yet. I know we've been asked, and we've certainly been in the police station 3 times. Domestic violence teams, nurseries, family defensive staff, psychologists, independent social workers, children's guardians, midwives, safeguarding midwife, young person midwife, addiction midwife, health visitor, drug and alcohol support teams, local council members from the job centre to name a few. It's a rough idea of the people group we are regularly involved with. It doesn't include the random attendees such as chair of meetings, contact centre staff, court staff. It's an intimidating process, the constant feeling of being judged, and our job is to navigate and to support our clients to ensure that they are seen and heard and understood. What's the expectation from our role? We're there to signpost and navigate through a complex and challenging service. Our aim is to ensure our clients feel supported and understand the process. They need to be heard and understood, and they need to be able to say what they feel they need to say. Our aim is to ensure the process to be easier for them. Why is understanding such an important issue? Someone who understands is more compliant with requests. So when you have parenting assessment, psychological assessment, PALMS assessment, contact assessors, and are judged every visit, the clients is essential. We also negotiate reasonable adjustments for theories and assessments. Why do I say client and not member? Because we are members with first. This is a different relationship for our members. It's a purely professional arena, and therefore we identify in a professional manner. If we refer somebody into a group for education sessions, they become a member of Equal First Harmony. What is involved in this process is varied, but people start with social work and the level of legal team, a multitude of concerning areas. There are many meetings, children legal meetings, child protection meetings, legal meetings, court hearings, public meetings, plus contact sessions, social work visits and sessions for family support workers. I am nearly finished, I promise. What impact does our input have on our clients? Well, someone is listening to them, someone will talk and help them to talk, someone to help them understand legal terms of behaviour. You stand when the judge walks in and you don't talk in court unless you're asked to. When you're fighting for your children and feel it's unjust, that's a really hard thing what to do. Do we make a difference to our clients? But we're not going to get their children back, and the harsh reality is we're often the only ones left with them when the decision is made. Social work is a child social worker and they walk away. So does all the support's been included until then, including child benefit. Housing benefit will change in a 2-bedroom house they suddenly find themselves having to move. We will use Joseph's courses provided to help give some additional support. I could go into much more, however I've got enough information for now. One last thing is we couldn't provide this service without the dedication and continuous support of Margaret and Jen, who worked tirelessly. They were a phenomenal pair, and I personally thank you both ladies. Any questions, please come and find me later to ask today. That's my job.
Yeah, I absolutely second that. I think that it's not just Jen and Margaret. I know that we've introduced Nick as our volunteer manager. Nick actually, despite going through, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, some incredible health difficulties at the moment. This is a lady who is going in for dialysis several times a week, is still managing all our volunteers, and currently I think has about 3-4 cases on the go herself. You've heard the complexities involved within these cases, and we are just so lucky, not as an organisation, but the individuals that you work with are just so lucky to have people that are as committed as you are. So I think you're absolutely amazing, and I'm sure everybody else would agree. So can we give them all another great round?
now going to invite up Joseph Cranfield. So Joseph is our mental health project officer. He's going to give you a quick whiz through of the Better Life service.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Cranford, and I'm the Mental Health Project Officer here at People First. My focus in the organisation is the enrichment of mental well-being, as well as helping our members take ownership of their mental health by providing tips and techniques for use in their everyday lives. In order to best achieve this, I facilitate a range of groups as part of the Better Life service. Firstly is our men's wellbeing group, which aims to allow our male identifying members a safe and friendly place to chat about men's issues. Research tells us that both men and people with a learning disability are two of the most vulnerable groups for poor mental health. And these can lead to conditions such as anxiety, depression, isolation, and even suicide. To address this, our men's wellbeing group has a focus on issues that men often feel a bit apprehensive about talking about. So we have such topics such as expressing our emotions, toxic masculinity, men's sexual health, and how to help your friends who are going through a bit of a rough time. We're also going to take place in events such as Movember, so you can stay tuned to see just how terrible my mustache turns out. I know Sean's going to be helping that as well, so it's going to be impressive to see what happens there.
Are we okay to be posting these on social media?
Okay.
They develop?
That's kind of the fun of it. Next up is my personal favourite one, because it is a little bit my baby, is the Dungeons and Dragons group. So Dungeons and Dragons, for anyone who doesn't know, is a tabletop role-playing game that's focused on a medieval setting where players create characters to create an ongoing story where they work together to complete exciting epic quests, find valuable magic treasures, and battle terrifying monsters. As the game's primarily a team-based game that is focused nearly entirely on promoting communication and group storytelling, I found that Dungeons and Dragons allows our members to practice communication and social skills in an environment where the worst consequence of a poor social interaction is not getting any treasure. It's often a bit weird, so there's many twists and turns that even I can predict, and I'm the one who wrote them, so it's a little odd. So, for example, on one occasion, our heroes had to save a baby monster from a group of wizards. Rather than fighting their way through or stealing the baby or, other things they might do, our party managed to convince the wizards' henchmen to form a union. So they managed to get them better healthcare benefits, and now that army of fish creatures helps the local community by providing free water travel, as you do. Yeah, it gets a little odd. And last but not least are our psychoeducational courses. So these are discussion-led sessions which are free to any of our members that wish to attend. And they're held at Locking Castle Church near our main office in the campus. These courses are highly varied. They often last between 3 and 8 weeks. And they cover a range of topics like anxiety management, bereavement, and sex and consent. Most recently, we've introduced our new relationships course, which I know a couple of people are on that. So I can see Rebecca around. So I know they're on it. But this is aims to help members navigate their love lives, as well as being a bit more vigilant about the risks of meeting new people. We've also had a few one-off and sort of temporary courses, such as the Keeping Safe Online, which was done during the lockdown, when many people were online and needed a bit of help keeping safe. As well as our Back to Life, which is a hybrid of anxiety management and our social skills course. We're focused on helping our members who have been uncomfortable return into non-lockdown life. The impact on our members has been great. I was due to have a member come up with, a member and her mother come up here to talk about it, but unfortunately, as Michelle said earlier, we all have a little problem with mental health sometimes, and it was a little bit anxiety-inducing to come in front of all of here and make a fool of themselves. That's my job. That's what I'm doing right now. So, I got the answers to the questions I wish to ask her, so it looks like it's about time for a bit of a Q&A with myself, I guess. So, I asked Anna, the member's name was Anna, and her mother's name is Debbie. She recently attended a self-esteem course and is currently attending the relationships course. So, I asked Anna how she found the self-esteem course, and she said, I found the self-esteem course really interesting and helpful. I like meeting new people and getting to know the helpers. Also, I like the tea breaks. That is a popular thing, I can't say that much. How has the courses helped in their everyday life? They said I was able to share what I learned with my friends and family. She recommended other people to go on the courses by saying, yes, I would recommend other people to go to the courses. It's friendly and easy to understand, and I felt like I was listened to. I then asked Anna's mum, Debbie, for a little bit of the impact on her home life as well. So, before the courses, Anna didn't totally understand what self-esteem was fully until she attended it, but the course gave her a very positive mindset as she loves being shown the skills to help other people. In turn, it makes her feel good and ultimately upset. Once she's finished the course, since she's finished the course, she finds that the course has affected her, as she feels positive about herself, and due to the friendliness of the course, she was able to walk in, which is a very good sign, apparently. It's affected her home life. She's still working on it, but Tuesdays are always good days. That's when she comes to the lectures. Awesome. And she did recommend it to other members by saying, absolutely, Joseph has a good understanding of the attendees, but also expects respect, and having heard when they come to pick up Anna is a very patient and fair instructor, so not to toot my own horn, but thank you for listening. If you'd like to find out a bit more about the men's group or the D&D course or the psychoeducational courses, I'll be around to answer any questions. I'll probably be by the buffet as soon as that comes out. And yeah, I will speak to you a bit later.
Thank you, Joseph. And I'm there saying, we're quite behind, but I think Joseph done an amazing job of getting through that lot, so well done. I'd like to invite now Kerry Dodd, who is one of our communication officers. Thanks for introduction, Rochelle. Yeah, my name's Kerry, and I've been with Somerset People First since January 2021, just as we went back into lockdown. As part of my role, I host 3 regular groups, which I'll just go through briefly on. And then I'm going to just sort of summarise with a little bit of a case study about one of the members that's made me really proud to do my job. So firstly, the walking groups have been mentioned. I run these mostly weekly. We cover Portishead, Clevedon and mostly Western. It was the first group to return after the pandemic. It was primarily focused on getting our members outdoors and meeting other people and stopping them from being alone in their homes for that extended periods of time. Members found themselves socially isolated. Their confidence and social skills have been severely affected. Members were expressing lower self-esteem and high levels of anxiety, and it was obvious that there were mental health issues present too. Our walking groups get service users outdoors, meeting new people, facing their fears in a safe and friendly and supportive environment. We attract a mix of ages, from young people out of college to those near to retirement age. It's something for everyone. And also adding to that, we've just started now with some funding, a green walking group as well, which is more sort of focused on getting people into sort of rural areas and supporting them with their health and well-being. The walking groups, over the period of April 2021 to March 2022, last financial year, we delivered 45 walking group sessions and recorded 361 attendances, with targeting 50 different individuals. Some of the outcomes have been close friendships that have been struck. I recall a conversation about Carnation Street, which then consequently led to a competition being won and a trip to Manchester, where 2 of our members ended up sort of staying and visiting the film studios. And there was quite a difference in age, but it was just so lovely to see, and that had just come out of what started off with the walking group. We also had personal achievements as well. People just sort of, becoming more confident and engaging and meeting new friends. Friendships that have developed outside of the walking group, numbers have been swapped and they're doing things socially and independently. And then there's also been like legacy. We've developed rapport with like things like the Brenton Grove Park and the Strawberry Line at Yatton. And I just did a quote there, Andy's not here today because he does struggle to get out and about, and I think that quote summarises it really well. It's helped me socialise with people. Without the walking group, I wouldn't be able to go out. Now, Andy is supported by one of our members of staff, and apart from seeing a support worker and his mum, who lives in the flat above him, the walking group is usually the only time he does leave his house, his flat. Our friendship group was the second group to start back face-to-face after lockdown. We meet in public places, in cafes. One of the popular venues is the Stable Games Room opposite the Flame House, where we get access to board games. We have a cup of tea and encourage people. Some want to play games, others don't. It's just a really informal coffee morning style group, which is really popular. We had 18 sessions. They're usually fortnightly, 156 attendees. Our members have discovered things in common with each other, and new friendships have been formed. We've also found that it's become really popular with support workers. Support workers that are seeking things to do and networking opportunities. And have representation from Surround Support, Brandon Trust, Century Connecting Lives, Network Health, and many others. And there's a quote there from one of my newest members, Jean. It gets me out of the house. I really enjoy it. I like to meet new people and friends. And then Better Together. Better Together. Sarah Locke put their hands up there. Do you like that one? Better Together is a peer support group. And it falls into the same programme that Joseph just talked about, the A Better Life Project. It's a chance for members to open up and chat about everyday life. We encourage our members to support each other. We discuss topics of interest. It was a really important group during COVID, our Zoom sessions. It was crucial for members to learn about things like vaccination procedures, lockdown rules, and overcoming anxiety, and educating on COVID-19 related scams and online safety. So much came out of it. We also taught our members to listen and respect, to recognise that we have different opinions and thoughts, and that is okay. We've initiated topics around mental health awareness week and other important subjects. We've done icebreaking games, such as Roll and Tell and Truth and Life games, which are always popular with our members. And a lot of members come to this group as a graduation of Joseph's courses. It's seen as the next step. And moving forward, we're just starting up this month a new group called Peer Talks, which will be very much sort of a more formal environment in the campus, and we will discuss topics. We've got about a programme of 6 to 8 weeks already lined out. So if you're interested and you've already done a course with Joseph, do get in touch with one of us, and we're first going to run every other Tuesday. So if we'd like to see you there, that'd be great. And then just to finalise then, I was going to talk about a member. And it's a member that's kind of fed through all my groups, actually, and was when I first started. I'm not going to refer to her by her first name, we're just going to refer to her as Phoebe for safeguarding issues, if that's okay. So Phoebe was a young woman of 19 years of age. She was very shy. Prior to lockdown, Phoebe had just finished college and consequently lost contact with friends and fellow students. Phoebe remained silent in most of our Zoom groups. She didn't make eye contact and only nodded or shook her head to answers. Quite often you'd just see the hair at the top of her head where she was looking down. The support worker reassured us that she really was enjoying being part of the groups, and not to take it personally. Occasionally I would see a little smirk, indicating she had found something funny. For me, a breakthrough came when we were talking about sport, and I established that she had played in our school cricket team. Phoebe also loved animals, and several group sessions were it, and another group sessions developed. She was able to show her pictures of her kittens on her phone. However, Phoebe didn't really fully blossom until she attended our walking groups. The walk started back up in April 2021, and as mentioned, they were the first groups to start back up after the pandemic. Phoebe loved to walk with her support worker, and she would count her steps on her watch. When Phoebe first joined, she walked with her head down, not leaving her support worker's side. But as the weeks went on, her confidence grew. Walking and talking became her thing. Earning her trust, I began to have one-to-one conversations with Phoebe, establishing her likes of Minnie Mouse, scary movies and dolls. And gradually we introduced Phoebe to other members for similar interests. And she developed friendships with other young ladies in the groups. Then one day, Phoebe turned to me and asked a question. She started a conversation on her own. This was a huge step, and I remember looking at her support worker and smiling with disbelief. Sorry. As the weeks continued, Phoebe gained the confidence to leave her support worker's side and walk ahead. She began talking to the person that she'd gone to college with, and laughed and joked to exchange telephone numbers. Phoebe was in a safe environment, surrounded by people who understood her and who could trust and connect with her. Our walks often ended, as Michelle Vick said, on with a refreshment stop in a cafe, a cake, coffee. The process continued, and Phoebe was able to sit independently on a table with friends and go and order a drink from the cafe by herself. Our support worker was brilliant too. As we continued to come out of the COVID pandemic, she was then started to attend our friendship groups, playing games at the Stables Cafe, and later was a regular attendee of the Women's Wellness group. At these groups, she learned really important things such as what is a sleep test, had a knitting lessons, and participated in group conversations. The walking group had provided a platform for her to move on to these things and achieve greater things. Then one spring day, I'll get to the end, I promise. Then one spring day, early in the year, Phoebe amazed everyone by going up to strangers in the street and handing out daffodils as an act of kindness, something we thought she would never have the confidence to do. I reflected on her progress. It was less than a year from the Zoom group in lockdown. The transformation was unbelievable. North Somerset People First was there at the right time, providing support in the middle of a lockdown when other operations and support services had stopped. We worked on her anxieties. We believed in her, we showed her encouragement, helped increase her confidence so that she could overcome the impacts of social isolation. I saw Phoebe in a park with her grandparents not so long back, and she chatted away. This is just one of the many North Somerset People First success stories. Members come to us and go, and just as they need, and that's absolutely fine. We have long-standing members, and we have others that we might only see for a couple of months, but that's okay. It is, however, ever so heartwarming to help lead individuals with learning disabilities on a journey of independence, empowerment, and new discoveries about themselves. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kerry. And I think, as you've probably seen throughout today, a lot of us have got emotional. I promise you, we're not emotional wrecks. We're just really passionate, and we really do care about the work that we do, and most importantly, the people that we are actually have the pleasure of working with every day. So just thought I'd put that out there. I'm now going to introduce Sarah Codling, who is our service manager, who's just going to kind of really sum up from the staff team.
Don't worry, no emotion from me. So, I won't keep you long, because in many ways I've got the easiest job of everyone talking to you today, because I manage this fantastic team that we've just heard from. And they're not just great at what they do, but as Kerry alluded to, they joined us as lockdown hit us. So it was very much, hello, welcome to the team, here's your laptop, here's your login, talk to you on Zoom, which is really, really difficult. It's hard to start a new job, isn't it? And get to know where the looms are and remember people's names. But with their characteristic dedication and commitment to what we did, they made it work. And I thank them for what they do and commend them for the way they do it. So we've heard about what People First does and the difference it's made in some of the lives of our members. But I just want to mention how we do it a bit more. We are a member-led organisation, and we are person-centred. And that means that what we do is we listen to and we're directed by our members. We simply don't believe in sitting in offices and making grand plans for other people's lives. Our members are the experts about their own lives and their experiences. And a really good example of this, which you've heard about today, is the men's wellbeing group started in Zoom. And then Kat, one of our members who is never shy in coming up with great ideas and telling us, said, well, why can't we have a women's group? And quite right too. So what we did, we asked, would and the women members be interested in that? Yes, they were. So we went and did it. That's person-centred and that's member-led. So we had some facts and figures today as well, and some of them are in our annual report for 21-22, which is at the back of the room with some of our new leaflets you may not have had a chance to look at. And some of these figures really illustrate how much we provided. And remember, some of the months in that year we were still in lockdown. So just to throw a few at you, because I find these incredible. We held 224 groups and activities. We had 1,270 attendances at groups and activities. We had 45 walking groups, 22 men's groups, 24 women's groups, 31 psychoeducational courses, 12 speaking up group meetings, and 12 Dungeons and Dragons club sessions. Pretty impressive. Do you agree? Okay, and my very last point is that no charitable organisation is an island, and we're certainly no different. Working in partnership is really, really important to us. We really value our membership of North Somerset Council's Equality Stakeholder Implementation Group. And here we can really offer a representative voice for adults with learning disabilities and autism. We can feed in their voices to help shape and change local services. It's also important we have a seat around the table at the Rhymes Group. That's all about reporting hate crime incidents. We're making new connections all the time across the district.
and we fully embrace the opportunities of social prescribing. And we were delighted to be awarded some funding from the Green Social Prescribing Fund, which Kerry mentioned, to deliver Green More. We continue to work really closely with colleagues in health, and we're members of Western Hospital's Learning Disability and Autism Steering Group. And you'll hear from some members themselves soon about a hugely important project called Poo Matters. And of course, all of you here today are partnering with us in support of our mission to promote and facilitate self-advocacy for adults with a learning disability or autism in North Somerset. And I thank you for coming today and for listening. Thank you, Sarah. Very, very well said. I think that really kind of put the message out there, so thank you. Right, I'm pleased to be able to invite up to the stage now our Pin Matters team. So if you'd like to come up, guys. And I'm Tracy, and I'm a learning disability nurse.
We learn more about poo, and it helps us. We may.
Sorry, if this is my fault. Right. Oh. I can't read it 'cause it's in pink and I've got the glasses. But why do we need to talk about poo?
We learn more about poo, and it is important to our health. Not having a poo can cause problems. It can make you feel unwell. You may have constipation.
What is, Sean, what is constipation?
If poo stays in your body too long, it is hard or it can be painful to get out.
Mark, how could it make you feel?
You may have pain in your tummy. You may have pain in your back. You may have headaches. You may feel sad and moody.
Short one. Why do people not talk about it?
Many people do not like to talk about poo. They may be embarrassed. Some words are hard to understand and they may not be asked in the right way.
So, Mark, what did we do?
We learned more about poo and it helps us. We made and
So Sean, what can we offer to other people?
We have workshops to help people with a learning disability to learn more. We can talk to carers to help them people understand and support. We can also talk to professionals and help them understand how to support people with a learning disability. We went to a care home to talk to people and work in there.
People that were living and working there, wasn't it, together? Lovely. So, Mark, is there anything that you want people, anything else you want people to know?
It is important to know more about who and to talk to someone you trust about it. Find it hard to talk about at first. It was embarrassing. I did not know what consultation means.
Sure. Is there anything else?
Sharing with other people is important. It can prevent other problems and it could save your life. I did not know it was a problem. Sometimes I did not poo for a couple of weeks, and I'm more aware about what I eat and drink. I go every morning now, and I feel awesome after I've had
Thank you for listening. Just to say that we did do some pilot carer training, and confidence of the carers increased by about 27%. We also, in May of this year, where did we go in May? We went to, well, that was in March, I think. We went to Devon in May and March, but in May we went to Bristol. And we spoke at the Association for Continence Advice conference, so we actually spoke to continence specialists. And we presented on the work we've been doing, and we actually got, for the 2-day, our little slot, which was quite short, wasn't it? That over the 2 days was the highest scoring presentation, with 92% either good or very good for quality, and 90% either good or very good or relevant. So, you know, it just kind of shows that it's really important to get it out there. Spread the word. And
thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I can't stress how important this project is, and you know, we really do want you to spread the word, let people know about the work that we're doing. I am sure that there are many more people out there that are suffering just like Sean, but not actually realising that there's a problem. So thank you very much, guys, for being so honest and sharing your stories. I also would say, I think because word gets around and the work that's being done is absolutely amazing, that I know in November that we are going up to the ICB head office, headquarters, the 360 building in Bristol, because there are some very important people coming for the day from Learning Disability England, NHS England, and you are going to be the kind of top presentation of the day, the most important one. A lot of people are coming to listen to you, so again, fantastic work, so well done, guys. So, moving on, I'd like to invite a representative from North Somerset Council, Dana Jackson. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. I hope I'm loud enough here. My husband always complains I speak too loud, so I'm quite sure you can hear me. Yes, I joined the council a year now, August 2021. For who's been around for a long time, I joined the reasons Robert team, and the reason why I'm mentioning that is because it's really nice to be in a position to be inspired by a Roman manager and work feel like you are taking forward some amazing projects that we started in the last 20 years, really. So very, very lucky. As you as well, I feel very, very, I don't see any barriers. I finish work and it's part of my life as well, so I feel very privileged and lucky. So I won't keep you for too long. I will just be here to tell you why our work with North Somerset People First is so important and why we see it as a partnership. And while a lot of people are tempted to say we rely on the council, our experience with our relationship with North Somerset People First is the other way around. We rely on this amazing group. So being disabled confident is very important to North Somerset Council for many, many reasons, but I will only mention three reasons today. And it's been a long time since I didn't speak in front of such a big audience, so I do have some notes with me as well. So we do embrace diversity because we think that's critical to our success as an organization. And also because fairness is at the heart of our vision as an organization. So that is the main reason. But probably these words are a little bit too big. So next one is probably more depicting, and that is the fact that disabled people are about 15% of our workforce. So we are proud of that percentage, and that is for only those that self-disclose, but we believe there is a higher. It's a big hit. We are proud to say that every day with everyone. So we want to make sure we get it right, and to ensure that our colleagues have what they need in place to do their job well. And then another big reason, with many others, is that we take our role as a community leader very, very seriously and really try hard to encourage other organizations and businesses across North Somerset to employ people with disabilities and to work hard into reducing the disproportionate amount of people with disability being unemployed. So that is another big reason. In 2022, we went about to requalify for our disability confidence leader, and that involved having an audit of the work we completed in that area, which was to work with North Somerset People First, because they are led, as you just said, by voices of people across North Somerset. So it was important, very important for us to work with an organization like yours that is being led by experts, and to ensure that our assessment was authentic and relevant. So during the audit process, led the small audit team to review our achievements. And this review included looking at the evidence we put together, meeting up with our head of people services, and also meeting up with this group of our disabled staff members. So throughout the process, North Somerset have been very supportive of our aspirations. Is a bit confident, but robust with their feedback in areas that needed to make improvement. So this feedback really helped us to continue to improve our support for disabled people within North Somerset. So really, I'll just close here, but I'm open for any questions after this to talk more about what we do at the council. But I will just close by saying a big thank you to. It's really inspiring to see the amazing work they do. And on a personal note, I'm Romanian member. I left the country 20 years ago. What I can say from personal experience is that England is a much better place because of the volunteers. Every single place I go. It's quite inspiring, and it's it makes me proud now to be a citizen of this country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donna. So we are reaching close to our meeting now, and we haven't been able to present this award for a couple of years, obviously, because we haven't had the opportunity to meet. Jack Passarelli was a member of North Somerset People First. He was representing young people on our advisory committee, and he was a young man that was taken far, far too soon. He was an amazing young man. He had a real passion for making a difference. He would come to our meetings and he would talk and come up with ideas and suggestions, but they weren't just ideas and suggestions for Jack. He was somebody who made things happen. He was a real driver, and I think members that were on the committee at the time with Jack, you didn't stand the hope of not having to go away and do something. You know, he was a real driver. Yeah, so, and the other passion of Jack's was motor racing. Hence why, when we wanted to have a memorial award, a memorial trophy in memory of Jack, we decided to call it the Driving Force Award, because that really summed Jack up. So it's a special time to be able to remember Jack, and I know that there are many people in People First that have had some fantastic memories that they keep very close to them. So each year we have a look at our members, lots of them, and we try to see some qualities and values in a member that we saw in Jack, because that's what the award is all about. So this year, the award goes to an individual who, when they first joined us, were very quiet, very shy. They had a lot of things going on and a lot of things that they were particularly worried about, very anxious about. This person has engaged in many of our services. That he has moved forward greatly. He continues to support the charity. He supports our members. He is involved in pretty much every slice of pie that we have. Has put himself into situations where a couple of years ago you would never imagine that this person would get there. Being part of a project that has not only helped him to overcome some of his own problems, but actually as a result of that has given him the confidence to move on and deal with another element in his life that was really difficult. I'm attempting to talk cryptically because it's going to be pretty obvious who it is in a minute. I'm sure many people around the room will have guessed. However, I'm not going to kind of keep anyone in suspense anymore. So the award this year, I'm very, very proud to present to Mr. Sean Parley.
If they weren't there, I don't think I would have been here today, because I wanted to end my life at one point. But so I thank People First for everything they've done, and also I said some amazing people, so thank you very much.
AGM, can we please have tissues for all the tables? Gosh, right. Yes, we are a soppy lot here, but like I said earlier, the work that we do means a lot, and I think you've heard enough today to see the difference we make, but it's a privilege for us to see people just progress and become more independent and more confident in their own lives. So thank you to everybody who's been part of today. Thank you to those who've been brave enough to share their stories, maybe not in person, but to allow us to share that with other people today. So I'm just going to, before we kind of give the nod for the food to come out, I would just like to say that on the tables there are some feedback forms. It would be really helpful to us. We'd be really grateful if you could take the time now or during eating your buffet just to leave us a few notes. It helps us to understand how today has gone, what things that we've done well, what things we need to think about for our future AGMs and indeed other meetings. And for those of you that have had experience of working with people first, whether that be as a member, as a family carer, as a professional, it'd be really helpful to leave us a bit of feedback on that experience. And if you would be willing to make any sort of comment that you would be happy for us to use within social media or any future publications, if you're happy to leave your name and the organisation that you work for, we'd be really grateful of that as well. So thank you very much, everybody. I now formally close the meeting. Well, we don't formally close.
When are we doing the elections?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Right, so thank you, Kat. Gosh. There's only one thing that I forgot, but well done. Thank you very much. The I need notes, and I'm just winging it as always. So, as I said earlier on, we are member-led. We have an advisory committee, and each year, usually at our AGM, we would have elections because we have a kind of turnover. Not everybody goes, but this year, I think people are still kind of recovering from COVID. It might seem like it's a while ago, but people are still recovering, and we haven't had as many people come forward. So because the amount of people that have put their names forward doesn't push us over our limit, everybody that has put their name forward is automatically on the advisory committee. Okay, so what we will be doing, Kat, is announcing that very shortly. Not here tonight, but we'll be doing that. It's fine. You keep me on my toes. That's what it's all about.
Sorry,
You don't have to be sorry, Kat. Thank you.
And can I try and make Michelle cry just once more by saying thank you so much from all the staff team, if I may, on behalf of the trustees and from all the members. Thank you, Michelle, for your support, your care, your leadership. You are people first. Thank you.